Hey, everybody. This is Shane Sams from the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast and flippedlifestyle.com. Super excited to give you this Q&A session. I'm going to answer a member's question from our most recent member Q&A. We were not able to get to all the questions on our last Q&A. So Jocelyn and I, in an effort to serve our members better, the members of our Flip Your Life community, we decided to start taking these questions and answering them on YouTube whenever we didn't get to finish anybody's question on the call. And I have a great question that I want to share with you guys tonight that can impact everybody's business, no matter what online business you're in, no matter what niche you're in, no matter what space you're in. This is a great question that's going to have an impact not only on your business and how you communicate with your customers, but it can impact how much money that you make online. I see a bunch of people here watching the YouTube live. Thought I'd send an email out to let people kind of in on this question as we do it. And maybe if there's any follow-up questions about this specific topic, we could talk about that too. But today's topic is all about telling your story in your online business. This is a great fear that kind of holds people back, is how much of my personal life am I going to put into my online business? How much of my story am I actually going to share with people to get them to know, to like, to trust me, and go on and make purchases from me in my business? So today's question comes from Flip Your Life community member Michelle. Michelle asks, when telling my story, like you and Jocelyn do on your podcast, how much detail do I go into when telling my story? For example, I've been through a lot of trauma as an adult, which probably added to my desire to persevere. But do I only include it if it directly affects the business, or do I just tell my story without censoring myself? Okay, so this is a great question. It's something that Jocelyn and I struggled with in the very beginning of our online business. How much of ourselves do we put in it? How much of our personal life do we put in it? Are we a nameless, faceless brand? Or are we going to open, our life up to as many people as possible to help inspire and motivate them? And it's really hard, guys, to put yourself out there on the internet when people are listening to you, strangers, or even people that and you're just going to tell them, everything about your life. In general, I want to preface everything I'm about to say with, it's your story. It's okay to hold whatever you want back. If you don't feel comfortable sharing parts of your story, that's cool. Okay. That's not what we chose to do, but it's your story. It's your business. It's your life. You don't have to do anything you want to. There's no necessarily best practice. There's no perfect way to do this when you're starting an online business. So if you feel like a personal trauma or a personal part of your story isn't related to your business, or it is related to your business and you're just not comfortable sharing it, then don't. That's what the Flip Lifestyle is all about. It's doing things your way and building a life that you want to live, building a business that you want to have out there in the world. So if there's parts of your story you don't want to share, don't do it. Don't do it. But in general, it's usually better to be transparent, to be an open book, to share as much of your story as you can so that you can build that relationship with your audience and with your customer so that they will know, like, and trust you enough to spend their money on you, to trust that you can solve their problems and that, you've been where they are. You have walked a mile in their shoes and they know you're the person who can actually solve their problem. Jocelyn and I share some deep, hurtful things in our story. Our journey from normal 9-to-5 job school teachers to entrepreneurs, online business owners, came because of a very dark catalyst. We found out that a daycare worker was mistreating and abusing our son. We found out that they were locking him in a bathroom with the lights out for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. So it wasn't anything, physically harming him necessarily. It wasn't anything, nefarious or anything like that. But they just didn't want to deal with a kid that was potty training. He was 3 years old, 4 years old. And they were locking him in a bathroom for hours at a time, all alone. And it led to some serious repercussions, mental things, physical things that we had to deal with. But it gave us, the courage to say, this is not the life we want. This was the catalyst that said, we don't want to ever put our kid in a daycare again. We don't want to ever be away from our child and going to work. We didn't want to work for anybody else. I had a really, really cruel boss that wouldn't let me leave work that day or was trying to stop me, and basically told me that my job was on the line and it was more important than going and helping my son in this dark time. So, those are things that are hard to share. Those are things that are hard to talk about, but it's a part of who we are. And even though that's a very personal thing, it led to our business. It led to me going out and searching the internet for a way to make my own living, a way to work at home, a way to never have to choose work over my children again. So even though that's a hard thing for someone to share, it's very, very important that I share it because it's part of my story, right? You can't really separate your life and your business story. If you're going to be an open book, if you're going to be transparent, Michelle asked, do I only share life stuff? Do I only share business stuff? It's all related. Us being parents is a part of our story. It affects our business. Us working 9-to-5 jobs while building a side hustle, that affects the business, right? Us being married and being business partners, those are two things that seem separate, but they're intertwined. And there's almost no way, once you start telling your story, that you can unravel the rope into different threads. Like, you can't only do the parenting thing. You can't only do the business thing. You can't only do the marriage thing. You can't only do the whatever thing. Your life and your business, if you're going to be an entrepreneur and if you're going to be online, if you're going to be selling to people and you're going to be using your story to sell your products, you're going to have to intertwine them, and you're going to have to tell some things that you may think aren't related, but that might be the exact bridge that someone listening to your story, someone reading your story, or someone seeing your story needs to make that jump from an audience member to a customer. Okay. So when you're telling your story, you probably don't want to hold anything back, and don't think something can't be related to your business just because it doesn't specifically target that. Last night, we were doing a member call. We had over 100 Flip Your Life community members on a call. We were taking questions, having a great time in the chat room. And I was telling a story about how I got out on a campground with Isaac. We were playing paintball, and I wore shorts. And if you've ever been to the South, or you ever live in the South, you know that there's little things called chiggers. And if you walk across grass, you can get chiggers on your ankles. They bite you and it itches, right? Well, I was dumb and went and played paintball without putting any long pants on. And I've got all these stupid little bug bites on my ankles. They've been itching for days. That doesn't in any remote way seem related to business. That's playing paintball with my son at a father-son camp. And I was getting bit on the ankles by chiggers, right? But it is related because, one of the things that we promote is a freedom-based lifestyle where you have the resources and the time to spend time with your kids. So I related that back to I was spending time with Isaac and showing that I was there, and this, that, and the other. I was relating it to a business situation where someone was learning from a mistake. Well, I was talking about learning from a life mistake, which related to learning to the business mistake. And next time, I will wear pants when I'm playing paintball. So you can relate all of these things together. Don't silo off every part of your life when you're telling your story to get new customers, to get people to buy your stuff. Because if you do that, you may miss the exact story that would have taken someone from an audience member to a customer. Okay. All right. So Michelle, I wanted to give you some other tips here. We've talked about what should you share. Share it all, but share what you're comfortable with. If you don't want to share it, don't share it. There's no rules. But the more you share, the more people are going to know, like, and trust you. Okay. The more you censor yourself and hold back, people are going to catch on to that, and they're going to feel like you're holding something back from them. Okay. So make sure you don't do that. But I wanted to give you guys some tips, and I want to give Michelle some tips to answer a question on what exactly to tell. What parts of your story are the most important? It's really good to have a filter to run your story through, because your story is the foundation of your business, and to know what exact parts to highlight, to share, and to tell your story over and over and over again. I've told that story about Isaac in that daycare center getting locked in that bathroom in the dark. I've told it dozens and dozens, hundreds of times on interviews, on our podcast, on our member calls, here on YouTube, in videos, in blog posts, because it's really important. And I want people to know that sometimes the most negative moments of your life can lead to positive change if you react properly to them. So it's really important for me to tell that story. There's going to be 5 or 6 moments in your journey and your story that are going to matter more than others. That doesn't mean you don't tell the others, but they're going to matter more than others to the people that you're selling to and that you're talking to. So the next few tips I'm going to give you are the guidelines, the things you should look for in your story, and get really good at telling those moments so that you can relate to your customer. Okay. All right. The first thing that you should look for in your story to tell your story to your audience are catalysts. These are the negative things, the bad things, the things that disrupted your life or pushed you out of your comfort zone that caused you to take action. And you tell people these catalysts to inspire them to take action. You may not be able to relate to my story about, a daycare mistreating my son, but you might be able to relate to my story about my boss being mean to me and not giving me the day off, right? You might relate to that. You hate dropping your kid off at daycare every day. You don't like being away from your kids during the day. Like that might be the catalyst that gets you to start thinking about starting an online business, which is what we coach and how we make a living. Okay. So other catalysts might be, I lost my job. That's a very common one in our field. I lost my job and I didn't know what to do. That was the catalyst that made me go do something else. What is the catalyst in your journey that led you to solve the problem that you can solve for your customer? You've got to tell that story. You got to tell the catalysts. Okay. When we sold education products, we sold lesson plans to librarians. We still sell lesson plans to history teachers. We sell playbooks to football coaches. I had to think of the catalysts in my life to tell the story to those customers to get them to go with my product or program. So what do we tell librarians? Hey, librarian, are you a new librarian? You just graduated. You just got your first job. You're terrified. You don't know what to do on the first day. Jocelyn would say, I was a librarian. I understand that. That was my catalyst. And I looked everywhere for lesson plans and couldn't find them. So I made them on my own. That's why I solved this problem. It's not just how you solve a problem. The catalyst is why you solve the problem. So you need to figure out your catalyst. You need to tell a story. My catalyst for my defense playbook that I sold to football coaches when we first started out was I was coaching at a school and we had terrible players. I didn't have a lineman under 300, and it wasn't the good kind of 300. It was the 5'8", 300 square guy on the line. It couldn't move, couldn't run, couldn't block, couldn't do anything. And I had to figure out a way to win football games on offense and defense with really slow, terrible players sometimes. That was just my catalyst. I went 0-10 as a football coach, and I had to figure out a way to win at a school with no talent. So I came up with this offense. I came up with this defense. We were able to win the first games in school history. We were able to turn a couple programs around with this offense and defense. But that catalyst going 0-10, that's a hard story to tell. And that's not something that you would normally think you would lead with to convince football coaches you're the guy that can solve their problems. Hey, guys, I know that your football team is terrible, but I went 0-10. Let me tell you this story. But that's exactly what they want to hear, because maybe that guy went 0-10 or that guy went 3-7. And how did I overcome the problem? How did I react to the catalyst that led to the solution? So tell your catalysts. Don't hold back. Tell the bad parts. People don't want to hear sunshine and rainbows. They want to hear what happened that led to this thing. Okay. All right. Next, share who has helped you along the way. Share mentors. Be a little humble in your story. Don't try to make you this, unwieldy king who figured out every single problem there ever was in real life. Tell the truth. Tell your story. Tell about catalysts. Jocelyn and I talk about how one day I was riding a lawnmower. I had no clue how to do anything in business, had no clue how I was going to make money, no clue how I was going to quit my job. But I was riding my lawnmower one day and I discovered a podcast called the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn. The Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn was the thing that motivated me to get into online business and sell digital products. I went to meet Pat. We paid for his coaching. We went and talked to him about our business so that we could grow it. And he was a great mentor. And share those things with people. Share who helped you along the way. Share how you learned bits and pieces of your solution. Hey, I got this from this guy. Hey, I got this from this guy. I picked this up from this guy. And we put these things together into one cohesive thing. Share those moments with people in your story. It makes you look humble. It makes you look better because none of us can do it alone. And it makes sense for you to share who helped you because you're trying to help the next person. So your story of how you went to get help, right? That's their story that they're living through you of how they're going to get help from you. So share your catalysts, share who's helped you, share inspiring moments. Share the moments in your story where you really had those aha moments, where your mind exploded, where something succeeded, where it all clicked. This is your story of success to say, hey, look, I did this. You can do this too. Share the inspiring moments that go along. We always tell the story of the first money we ever made online. It was 11 cents, a dime and a penny. That's all we made. One night I was laying in bed. I'd been doing online business for about 3 months. I had made zero money, had almost no traffic, zero clicks, anything. Laying in bed one night and I was about to give up. And I just went and brushed my teeth and prayed to God, please give me a sign that this online business thing is real. I go back to my bed right before bed. I thought, man, I'll hit refresh one more time. I did it. It was zero when I hit refresh. When I came back, it was 11 cents. That was the first moment that we ever created content. And for some reason, anybody sent any money back to us. That time it was with an ad click. And it was the spark that led us to think things like, if we can make 11 cents, maybe we can make $11. Maybe we can make $1,100. If there's one person, there's 100 people. Let's go find them now and double our efforts. Tell those moments that inspired you. If you're if you're a guitar teacher, tell the moment that inspired you to pick up the guitar. Tell about the first person you ever taught to play guitar. Like that's an inspiring moment that will inspire your customers to spend money with you. Okay. Share your fears that you've defeated, right? Not just the catalyst that started it all, but the fears. Am I good enough to do this? Do I have a good idea? Am I expert enough to teach this thing? I'm afraid that people will look at me and say, well, he's not good enough. She's not good enough. But then I did X, and then I did Y, and then I did Z, and I overcame all of these fears, right? What will people say, right? One of the things that I was afraid of is what if we quit our jobs and then the business dries up, right? What if that happens? Like, how do you overcome that fear? Right. So we saved some money and we had a couple months just in case. And we kind of had a backup plan. I had a lawnmower. I'd go mow people's yards. Right. That's how I figured this thing out anyway. But like, share these fears and how you defeated them. How did you look yourself in the mirror and get past these fears? Or maybe you didn't defeat them. Maybe you just decided to be brave, even though you were afraid. Right. Talk about your fears. Talk about the things that almost stopped you from achieving what you have, from getting the success that you have, so that they can see, hey, I'm afraid of that too, but if they did it, I can do it. So when you're sharing your story, share your fears, share obstacles. Okay. Fears are more things in your head. Obstacles are things that impact you from the outside world. One of the big obstacles that we had when we started our online business was, we were married, we were working full time, we were raising 2 small children. We had an 18-month-old and like a 3 or 4-year-old. I mean, it was like, it was a chaotic situation. I was coaching football. So I was leaving at 6 a.m, coming back home at 7 p.m. Jocelyn had an extended contract, so she worked extra hours. And like, it was just really hard to coordinate and find the time to start an online business. That was an obstacle that we had to overcome in order to make our story a reality, in order to make it to the next level. So, we had to give up everything. We stopped hanging out with people. We canceled cable TV so we weren't tempted to watch TV at night instead of working our online business. Like, we did all these practical things to overcome obstacles. So you need to talk about in your space the obstacles that held you back and will hold your customer back. Okay, whatever problem you're solving, you need to be open about the fears, be open about the obstacles, let them know that you've got solutions and tell them how you did it so they can do it over too. Okay. All right. And finally, share your most important victories. Share the results that you achieved. These are a little different than those inspiring moments that we talked about earlier. The inspiring moments are more like sparks that kept the fire going. 11 cents was not a huge victory. That wasn't like the month that we made $36,000 in 1 month. The first time we ever did, 5 figures, when we made as much as we were making teaching in 1 month. That was a victory. That was a result. That was what happened after 12 months of hard work, and bam, we hit it, right? That's what a victory is. The victory is the moment where you plant your flag, you say, I'm never turning back. I've solved the problem, and I'm going to roar ahead and thrive now instead of survive. Like, that's what a victory is, a result is. And the people that you are going to serve need to hear about those victories. They need to hear about those results because they've got a problem. They've got a struggle that they can't solve on their own, and they need you to help them do that. And they need to hear a story your story of how you went from problem to victory, right? So that's the difference in inspiring moments. Inspiring moments are like, I was about to give up and something happened that kept it alive, right? Victories are results. Those are the things that really take you to the next level, all right? And then finally, share stories of how you have helped others. That is a part of your story. People are afraid that they're bragging. People are afraid to tell their story sometimes because they don't want to, we don't want to we don't want to share the deepest, darkest secrets, but we also don't want to make ourselves like we're looking like we're holding ourselves up on a pedestal, right? Because we feel the society tricks us into like we're bragging, or it's not good to tell people about the good things you've done for others. And, it's get in line, do your job, stay in a row. And we kind of get that beat into us our whole life. Like, don't really stand out, don't do that. But you need to tell your customers or your audience about the customers you've already helped. The story we always tell everybody is about our friend Lindsay. It was the first person that we ever helped make money online and quit her job, right? To feel comfortable, to change her dynamic, to change her paradigm, because she wanted to stay home and homeschool her daughter. And we helped her create a situation where she could do that, right? That's an important story. We talk all the time about people like Jeanette Stein, who we helped quit her job, Evan Burse, who we helped quit his job, hundreds of other people in the Flip Your Life community who we've helped. We have dozens and dozens of testimonials spread all over our site because people need proof that you're for real. And if you've never helped someone, you need to go help someone, and you need to make that a chapter in your story, because that's really what's going to seal the deal. Okay. So when you're telling your story, which is really important in an online business, because remember, people are finding you cold. They don't know who you are. And then you're going to ask them for money? Like, no, they need to get to know you. They need to know your story. They need to get to know, like, and trust you so that they're willing to buy your solution, right? You've got to be able to tell a good story, and you got to be able to tell your story in a good way if you're going to be able to make money online. So the way you do that are to share catalysts, share and talk about mentors and people you came along with along the way that helped you, which is going to plant those seeds. Hey, you need someone's help just like I needed someone's help. I'm here to help you like they helped me. I'm paying it forward here, right? Share inspiring moments. Those are sparks that kept the dream alive, not necessarily the big ticket wins. It's just, I was about to give up and I didn't, right? Talk about the fears that you had and you defeated them, right? You don't have to tell how you defeated the fears. That's going to be a part of your product, okay? But you've got to say, this is the fear and I got past it, right? I defeated it in my mind. Share obstacles that you overcame, and then share your victories. Share those victories. Brag on yourself a little bit. Hey, you overcame huge things. You solved big problems, and now you're helping other people. You've earned the right to talk about your results and your victories, even if some people don't like it. So do that, and then talk about how you've helped other people. That's really, really important to tell how your stuff, how your solutions not only work for you, but they will work for other people too. And you need to go out and get some of those, even if you have to help people for free. So, Michelle, that was an absolutely great question on how much of your story to tell. How do you tell your story online? And Jocelyn and I are big believers that you have got to tell your story if you really want to make it to the next level in any online business. Your job as an online business owner is to inspire people, to equip people, and to motivate people. And there's no better way to do that than to properly tell them your story and then make them realize, hey, that's their story. But if I just take some action, that could be my story too. Okay. All right, guys. Hope that you enjoyed that little training. I see a bunch of people in the chat. Going to have to jet here and get the kids in bed. But if you have any online business questions, my wife Jocelyn and I would love to answer them inside of the Flip Your Life community. We've answered thousands and thousands of questions about online business from everything you can imagine. And we have helped hundreds of people discover freedom through internet business. And we'd love to help you too. We answer questions exclusively for Flip Your Life community members inside of our Flip Your Life community forums and on 2 monthly member calls that we have each month inside of the Flip Your Life community. We would love for you to join us on the next member call. You can do that right now New members can try 1 month for free at fliplifestyle.com/free. You can jump in the community. You can ask questions in the forums. You can talk to all of our members. You can see all the amazing things that are happening in our success story forums. You can take advantage of all of our training. It's 100% full access for 1 month, absolutely free. And in that month, you'll get to come to 2 member calls where you can ask a question for me and Jocelyn to answer online as well. Love to have you in the community. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Hope you have a great evening. Sit down, get a piece of paper out, get your pencil out, and start sketching out your story. Go through those points, incorporate that into your business, and see if it doesn't take everything to the next level. Till next time, peace. I'm out.